Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Suzerain. Let me go to get my timer started and let's hop into this call from Gus Manger. I was sipping my first cup of coffee for the day when the phone lit up and rang. I swore under my breath I thought my schedule was clear for at least half an hour. I picked up the phone. "Mr. President, how are you doing on this fine day, if I may ask?" "Fine as well. You?" "I'm good because business in Sordland is running as usual from my end, thanks for asking. I'm calling you because I received a call from the CEO of Armadine Industries, Aaron Bridges, about the recent initial stock public offering on the Ventress City Stock Exchange. As you might have guessed, it's about our significant venture investment of 2,000 shares worth nearly 2 million Ren. I am very pleased to say that we have made gains. The shares have doubled in price at the IPO in the VCSE, and we will soon receive the profits made from the investment. Isn't that great?" "Great news! So how much did we gain?" "You will love it. In total, we have made nearly 3 million Sordish Ren. It was risky, yes, but look at where we are now. Some things are just worth taking the risk for." "Exactly. Electronics manufacturing has a great future, and Armadine seems to have a head start. I'm not sure if I trust a company called Armadine." "I assure you, this will pale in comparison to what we will do together in the future. The money will be transferred to your personal bank account shortly. Keep me up to date with other opportunities. We'll let you know immediately when new opportunities arise. Oh, I almost forgot. The management sent you one of their brand new radios as a gift. Mr. Suno will bring it to you. Goodbye for now." Or excuse me, Miss Suno, not Mr. The line dropped. And Armadine radio. It's a very bulky radio for what is presumably... This is Cold War, so this is a big ass radio for what could very well and probably is like the 80s. If we're honest. We already have ICBMs, don't we? I'm pretty sure there was an event for that in the past. I definitely feel like this is, I guess maybe it could be like 60s or it's still, to me it feels like this is way, this is a massive radio for this time frame. What do we have here? Economist: Armadine stocks jumped to nearly double. The CEO of Armadine, Aaron Bridges, announced the IPO this morning at the Ventress City Stock Exchange, with the opening value of the stocks doubling due to high demand by the market. Images of celebration were visible at the Ventry Times newspaper. A new era for portable radios has begun for the average citizen, with major advances in military technology pushing civilian technology forward. Armadine, we might need to buy a bunch of those. Let's see, we can do a private party at a gentleman's club in Erlori, or a briefing on the status of immigration regulation. I feel like this is more important. We were in the middle of a meeting in the palace about our immigration policy. The ensuing discussion quickly became heated. "I don't think so, Mr. Whiskey. It just doesn't make any sense to me that a foreign citizen should come before a Sordish citizen in Sordland." "Well said. My analysis is also in line with this, especially during the economic recession. We were giving Sordish jobs to migrants from other countries. What about our own people? Immigrants are the reason our country is not completely unsalvageable. Look at Agnolian immigrants in England. They have They have revitalized the whole region and in turn boosted the economy of the entire country. Simon can attest to that. Statistically speaking, allowing immigrants to become part of the workforce contributes to our economy, but I agree that the current situation is very nuanced. With that said, we can't just tighten our immigration policy and expect the economy to stay the same. We need to put our economy and the recession at the forefront. Thankfully, we have just started receiving financial aid from Arcasia. And then what? We'll become their servants? First they will place their warplanes in Erlori, then their armies will come, you will see. I do not approve of this decision at all. Don't be dramatic, we need to be friendly with our potential allies. Allies? Sordland has no allies and never did. Well, okay, Esaf, that sounds like a bad thing. Well said, Mr. Lancia, we can't be naive. Miss Graff, I think you're an idiot too. Having no allies is a stupid idea. Because that's just asking to get attacked and not having anybody who can, nobody in your corner who can come to your aid when you get invaded by a much larger country. Gentlemen, can we please get back on topic? Right, sorry Mr. Whiskey. As I was just saying before I was interrupted, look at the superpowers. Do you see them closing off their borders? Why do you think their economies are in such good shape? They are in their current state because they welcome immigration and use it to their advantage. Now we need to modernize and reach the level of the superpowers. I'm of the same mind. It is proven that immigration helps countries develop, and we cannot just deport our current immigrants. We need a decision. But before we move on, Mr. President, do you have any questions about the current state of immigration? Well, okay, what is the current legal status of immigrants? Currently, all accepted immigrants are given a work permit on arrival so that they can work and contribute to the economy of Sordland. There is currently no limit on the number of immigrants accepted, however, the number has remained stable over the past years. Despite the laws, the fact is many immigrants illegally work for corporations. This is the main issue with immigration right now, not the immigration itself. Nonsense. If not for the unlimited amount of immigration, we wouldn't be in this state. I feel like that's a... that seems like a weird one to me. If our policy is basically any immigrant that comes to the country is immediately given a work permit so that they can start working, why bother dealing with the risks of hiring people to illegally work? That just seems silly. It really does. I mean, I guess it depends upon enforcement. If it's enforced fully, there is absolutely zero reason to deal with that risk because there is no real benefit. So I'm guessing we just don't punish corporations for hiring illegal immigrants, even though if they come here legally, we immediately give them a work permit. No, based off what the other two said, Miss Graff, I don't think that's correct in the slightest. I really don't think that's the reason why we're in this state. Okay, how many immigrants live in Sordland? Official numbers show that we have anywhere between 2 to 3 million immigrants residing in Sordland. Okay, well, how large is our country, out of curiosity, in terms of population? Country, Republic of... Do we really not have a thing for us here? That can't be true, right? That can't possibly be true, that we literally do not have ourselves listed here somewhere. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, this doesn't give us Okay, I was hoping that that would give us some insight as to what our population is like, but evidently that's not the case. I feel like it's very weird that we don't have some of this information just like readily available. It really seems like the kind of thing that should probably just be available easily. Issues with not being able to easily tell what our actual population is to figure out roughly how much is due to immigration. Oh, here we go. Nope, not really. Open demographics, but that doesn't actually give me a breakdown of... I want total population. Can I just say that? I want total population. Why is total population not something that's available? I can't be the only one who thinks that that's silly, that that is literally not listed anywhere. That doesn't work. That literally just does not work. You need to provide me that information somewhere. It does not make sense to not display it. Even excluding the countless undocumented aliens in our midst, there is a very substantial amount. The primary issue is the strife they cause between less fortunate Swordish citizens and themselves. Including them in the workforce would benefit everybody, including unemployed swords. More taxes means more services. Okay, well, how do the immigrants usually arrive here? There are three major paths they choose. The first one is the Anglin to Agnolia border, the second is the Bergia to Wayland border, and the third is the Lauren coast. Agnolians are the largest group. It's a light border over there, although recently political fugitives from Vogsland have been crossing the Grey Sea by boat to land on our coast. Not sure I'm a big fan of that. But also, you say Agnolians are the largest. They really don't seem to be that large of our population. 74% of the population is ethnically Swordish. Only 4.9% is Agno-Swordish. The Blutish literally outnumber them. Basically 2 to 1. Like almost 2 to 1. Lesbians are tiny, and then others is just literally everybody else. So again, really? The Agnolians are the largest group? That doesn't seem right. Politically persecuted Wezek refugees tend to use the dangerous mountain passes at the Wayland border. Many of them also have Blutish blood. This is significantly increasing the blood populace inside Bergia. Okay, let's move on and see what can be done about the immigration situation. Very well. David Whiskey opened his dossier, stamped with the seal of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Before we make any decisions, I have to remind you, during the elections, we promoted to tighten immigration laws. Of course, as you know, I was and still am against it. I agree with David. We can turn immigration to our advantage from a financial standpoint. Advantage? You should go over the amount of the disadvantage caused by immigrants. I can provide you with a report from a ministry later. Believe me, it would surprise you. We need to keep our promises and focus on our own citizens. That is what I think. David sighed wearily. This is going nowhere. If we decide to tighten immigration, what does that entail? We would have to impose quotas and, connected to that, stricter border control, on top of allowing our economy to take a hit. Mr. Hall, surely the well-being of our citizens and our internal security will more than compensate for any downturn in the market. Agreed, Swordish citizens should take priority. Okay, what are the consequences of keeping our relaxed immigration policies relaxed? Aside from keeping us on the path to prosperity, modernity, and continuous improvement, not much. Our current system is good for our era. We also have the capacity. This will allow us to continue protecting investments from foreign countries, which in turn will keep our trade steady. We would be more trustworthy partners. Stability draws money. Stability? What stability? We're already seeing clashes between our people and foreign interlopers. On the contrary, the only way we can achieve stability is through tightening our immigration policy. You heard the lady. Sordland first. Ready to make a decision. I don't recall saying we would tighten it at the beginning, but apparently you must have. We're going to keep them lax. I'm glad you made the right choice. We will be forced to handle new waves of migrants from Magnolia. Our border posts aren't ready. Not only that, we've just abandoned the native swords who need our support the most. Also, this will bring a new tide of refugees from Wayland. Bergia is already a difficult region to manage. This is shameful. The citizens of Sordland aren't forgotten. Our work for them continues, and now they will compete with foreign immigrants just to put food on their tables. I'm disappointed in you, Rain. Anything else, Mr. President? Thank you for your contributions. Let's wrap this up. The ministers gathered their documents and rose from their chairs, some with frowns on their faces. I'm looking forward to the upcoming trade talks. Peter and I have been visiting Stallport and Klowitz. I don't know. In preparation. I will be coming along to talk with the economy minister, looking forward to the potential partnership. If we are finished, I need to head off and get the ministry to work on the new policy. New policy? We're keeping the same policy. There's literally nothing for you to do in terms of to work on a new policy. Same here, our border units need to be informed and prepared. What do they need to be informed of? The only thing you're telling them is that, hey, the status quo stays. That's all you're doing. You're not doing anything special. That's silly that you are like, oh, I need to inform them about changes. There are no changes. Keep up the good work. God, I feel a sneeze coming on, but it doesn't quite want to come out. In an effort to mitigate economic damages, Hulsord's central bank is working on a new proposal. The plan comprises several measures, including the accumulation of foreign exchange reserves, the adoption of a cautious fiscal policy, and increased support for export-oriented industries. The bank's initiative forms a crucial part of the broader strategy to stabilize Sordland's economy. Ooh, nationwide protests quelled. Wonderful. Relaxed immigration. I mean, it's not really relaxed because it's still the fucking same. Oh, I'm not a big fan of that. A recent religious rally by the Golcondists turned into a political demonstration against Sordland and its constitution. The rally, which was initially intended to be a peaceful gathering, quickly escalated into a protest against what the Golcondists see as an unjust and evil government. The sect's leaders have been actively promoting these views to their followers who have been receptive to their message. The government is urged to monitor the activities of the Golcondists and take appropriate actions to prevent further escalation of tensions and potential violence. Let's see, regional map, we got some stuff here. Wayland condemns us for taking Arcasian financial aid. Good for them, I guess. You do you, I don't care. Chancellor Enos Drumi emphasizes their neutrality. Okay, yep, good for you guys. You have publicly voiced support for my sovereignty. I mean, okay, again, good for you, but it's kind of hard to maintain my sovereignty if I'm potentially gonna get invaded by neighbors. So, you know. Sometimes you gotta do stuff maybe you don't necessarily want to do. That wasn't necessarily one of those situations, but nonetheless. Vogsland warns against Swordish privatization. Okay, yeah, Vogsland, we don't get along. We never got along. We will never get along. And I don't see that changing. Okay, well, private party at a gentleman's club. I guess we'll go ahead and visit. Far from becoming accustomed to my workload as president, I only felt more and more snowed under as the weeks passed. It had been ages since I had any time to myself. I was starting to lose my focus and my temper was growing increasingly thin. Peter was the first to realize I needed a break. After much cajoling, he finally persuaded me to come to a meeting on his new venture, Gentlemen's Club. For the past few months, he'd been hosting a saloon of sorts, not just for politicians and businessmen, but also for artists, entertainers, people of taste, he told me with a smile on his face. There was only one rule: no wives or girlfriends allowed, hence the name. And so I found myself in front of his new luxury villa in Orlori. Very loud jazz music emanated from inside. I waited and waited. Finally, Peter opened the door. I could smell the whiskey on his breath. Anton, finally! Now the real party can start. Come on in. As soon as I entered, Peter closed the door and turned to the small crowd. Gentlemen, a minute of your time, please. I now have the privilege to present to you the man himself, the 4th President of Sordland, Mr. Anton Rain. I'd known him for long enough to understand that he was more than a little drunk. He made an elaborate mock curtsy as I passed him and walked into the room. The music stopped and I felt everyone's eyes on me. Thank you, Peter. What's next? A choir? A marching band? No, I'm saving those for your funeral. Peter laughed very hard at his own grim joke before continuing. Dear members, please give a warm welcome to our very special guest. If I may, Anton, here, take this. He handed me a glass of whiskey and put his hand on my shoulder. We all know why we're gathered here tonight: to celebrate life, to make a brief escape from our tumultuous professions. I personally don't know any better cure for stress than a little drink. Only a little one. A few people in the crowd chuckled and some raised their glasses. Now, the tradition dictates that as the club president, I have to remind you of our house rules. There are 3. No politics, no wives, no one sober. Cheers. Peter drank the whiskey in his glass in one go. We're not gonna chug it. We'll take a sip. Anton Rain might have the power to make presidential decrees, but I, Peter Vectorn, the president of this club, now declare this party started. Music, go. The band started up again. After greeting the crowd around me, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Let me show you around. He walked through the corridors of his mansion. Statues and paintings lined the stark white walls. An arched window provided a view of the nearby manicured grounds, complete with a swimming pool. A grand Lispian marble staircase led up to the 2nd story. Peter gestured at the massive crystal chandelier hanging overhead. That chandelier was made in the 18th century. Can you believe it? There's even a hedge maze in the garden. What's the story behind the chandelier? I don't know and I don't care. It just looks expensive and I like it. I'll let you in on a secret. Gus Manger has a lot of contacts in real estate. He brokered an amazing price for me. He'll also be here tonight, by the way. Why am I not surprised? Gus the wheeler and dealer would be right at home at a party like this. Now, perfect. I've been looking for a chance to speak with him about investment opportunities. He'll have a once-in-a-lifetime deal ready for you. He always does. We continued walking until we circled back to where we had started. So, what do you think of my little hideaway? It's amazing, but I'd hardly call it a hideaway, more like a palace. It definitely doesn't rival yours. Anyway, let's get back to the party. I arranged for some caviar to be brought in from Lispia. You're gonna love it. He opened the door to the main room, and we rejoined the other guests. The music was louder now, and the mood decidedly more inebriated. Cocktail waitresses were carrying around plates of canapes, wearing dresses that left little to the imagination. I gestured at one of the waitresses to come over. She was in her mid-20s, wearing red lipstick, her blonde hair neatly tied into a ponytail. On her plate were toast points, slathered in the Lispian caviar Peter had mentioned. I took a bite. It was rich, salty, tasting of pure seaside. I could almost hear the sound of waves and seagulls. Lispian caviar, best in the world. I'm telling you, Anton, there are few pleasures in life that are this. As the waitress left us to serve another attendee, she flashed a quick smile at Peter over her shoulder. He smiled back a little too broadly. Sensual. His eyes were still fixed on her with an expression I remembered from our many nights out together as students. Oh, look, there's Gus. Why don't you go talk to him? I'll be back in a minute. Peter, I'm warning you. Don't make a mistake. Mistake? What are you talking about? I'm just going to the washroom. See you shortly. Sure you are, Peter. Sure you are. Not going to be alone in the washroom. That's for certain. Gus Manger was standing next to a couple of men that I recognized as banking industry magnates. As I approached, all of them turned to me and bowed their heads. Mr. President, toast to our new member, everyone. Gus and I clinked our glasses as the people around us raised theirs. I heard this mansion is a result of your connections. That's right, I do have a wide network in real estate. Peter told me a couple weeks ago that you might be interested in potential opportunities such as, well, this. He opened his arms, gesturing at our opulent surroundings. Let's take a walk. The balcony has an amazing view of our lorry. We left the room and made our way to the balcony. On the way, he took out 2 cigars and held one out for me. We'll take it. Not big on a smoker, but we'll take one. I took the cigar and started smoking it, mixed with a taste of whiskey. It was delicious. We went out to the balcony. All of our lorry was at our feet. From this vantage point, I was able to see how expansive the building plot was. The swimming pool and the hedge maze were visible from here. Leaning over the railing, I admired the view for a moment before Gus spoke up. I know you're wondering about the deal Peter made. In a nutshell, thanks to my network, he was able to procure this house for half the asking price, which would have been impossible under any other circumstances. That's cheap, huh? You must know that the offered price is not suitable for every client. I would have been delighted to work with you, but unfortunately a deal won't be possible at this time, not for me or my contacts at least. Why is that? There have been some issues with my business, Mr. Ray, nothing life or death, but the hard work I put on the cancelled railway took up so much of my time that I've had to postpone some projects. I'm sure you understand. Think of it as an investment. I have already made my investment. Unfortunately, I have yet to see a return. He downed his whiskey. If you'll excuse me now, I will go refresh my drink. See you around. We left to rejoin the party. Alone on the balcony, I looked out over our lorry. Suddenly, I heard a rustling from the hedge maze below. I looked down and saw a silhouette. 2 silhouettes, actually, so close together they seemed to be entangled. I squinted to try to get a better look. It was definitely 2 people kissing, but I couldn't see either of their faces. I returned to the party and spent some time mingling with the other guests, engaging them in small talk about their businesses, their children, their relationships. I realized it had been a while since Peter left. I looked around but couldn't find him. Instead, my eyes landed on Wald Afonso. With a smile, the former president walked over to me. You know the rules, no politics. No politics, but plenty of side deals, it seems. I saw you speaking to Mr. Manger earlier. We talked, yes. It's always nice to get to know one's ministers outside of the Maroon Palace. We had a good chat together back in Narbel, as I recall, resulting in your very wise decision to invest Sordish money in Gassom. We're seeing growing interest from international investors, by the way. I'm optimistic about the results of Sordland's investment. Let's see. Terrific. I'm looking forward to a big payoff. I can't tell you for sure how big it will be, but our projections are looking good. Just then, Peter came out from behind us and threw an arm around each of our shoulders. Look at you two, Sordland's bright future and its ancient past. Peter, behave yourself. Yes, Mr. President, right away, Mr. President. Well, Mr. Alfonso, have you been enjoying my hospitality? Alfonso smiled politely. Indeed I have, Mr. Vectern. You've put together one hell of a gathering. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to have a quick word with the CEO of Swordish Petroleum. He's here too? What a party. Alfonso gave a brusque wave and walked off. Peter shifted his weight unsteadily. Nice guy. A shitty president, but a nice guy. Was that you in the hedge maze, Peter? What are you talking about? I'll be direct. Were you with the waitress? What? No. How could you even think that? I'm a married man. Peter, you know you can tell me anything. I thought I saw his cheerful expression slip for a moment. Yeah, I know. Trust me, it's nothing. Now, who wants a drink? Besides me, of course. He poured us 2 large glasses of whiskey, and we drank them in one go. Throughout the party, we drank and drank just like old times. I woke up the next day with a pounding headache and more than a few regrets. My recollections of the evening were hazy, but there was one important detail that kept coming back to me. The red lipstick on Peter's collar. But maybe my memory was playing tricks on me. It wasn't. Governor Felix Braun reports the discovery of Bludish Freedom Front propaganda in most schools that teach the Bludish language. This highlights the BFF's efforts to recruit and radicalize young people in Bludish majority areas. The government is urged to take immediate action to address the BFF's recruitment strategies and prevent further radicalization of young people. Governor Braun asks the lawmakers to introduce a ban on the Bludish language as a primary education language and asks the government to properly enforce the national language of Sordland to everyone. How about no? That seems like a shitty thing to do. A lack of further evidence from the investigation into the fire that occurred at the Holsard State University archives has caused the case to be suspended until further notice from the police and SID. The cordon has been lifted. Let's see. Yep, so that's just basically a repeat of that other one. Progressive investment in rural development. The government's decision to invest in the Gruny Rural Development Investment Plan is a promising step towards revitalizing our rural communities. This initiative will not only secure our nation's food sustainability, but also uplift agrarian communities. It's an encouraging sign of the government's commitment to a vital sector of our economy, and President Rain saves the day. Okay, this is you guys finally catching up with the Religious Harmony Bill. And you guys finally catching up about me accepting aid from Arcasia. I don't know why you guys are so slow. While this aid package provides immediate relief, its deeper implications are being closely observed. Rain's acceptance of the deal signals a potential shift in Sordland's geopolitical alignments, suggesting a possible alliance with the Arcasia Treaty Organization and, by extension, Lispia. As this new trajectory unfolds, the far-reaching impacts of this strategic shift are yet to be fully revealed. I got about 11 and a half minutes left on my timer, so I think we're going to end this part here. And next part, we will be doing the opening of the Benfey Festival, where our wife wanted to be the one to talk. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure that will go swimmingly. Oh, hey, we got the radio right over here. Didn't realize that before. But, yep, that's going to be it for this part. Oh, the growth went down a little bit. That's not fun. We'll have to find out how to deal with that, but I think we are very close to moving on to having the trade discussions. I think those might happen either right after the Benfey Festival or another event after, but we are pretty close to having these. I think we're going to have Agnolia in the bag. I don't think we'll be able to get Wayland, however. In theory, we should be able to get both, but I don't think the decisions we have made will allow us to get Wayland. But again, I think Agnolia is in the bag. yes, I will see you all next time. Until then, goodbye and farewell. And hopefully there will not be a large delay between this recording session and the next one. Until then, goodbye and farewell.